Wednesday, February 6th. We've got a 7-game slate to talk about, but I think we need to start somewhere else. And that would be the trade of Tobias Harris to the Philadelphia 76ers last night. A move which I could not find dumber for the Philadelphia 76ers. Adam, what's your take?
I guess I like it more than you. I mean, I think it obviously makes them a lot better, but it's a lot to give up for a rental. I still don't think it makes them the best team in the East. So I guess I'm like between you and what my Twitter timeline seems to be.
Yeah, look, I like Tobias Harris. He's a better fit on the Sixers than Jimmy Butler was at the time of that deal. They gave up way too much. That Miami unprotected pick is insanity. If the goal is to re-sign both of these dudes, I don't think that that's a title-winning team. I agree with you. I don't think that they are now a favorite in the East. I would probably still take the Bucks. So I don't really understand why you make this move. They can let Butler walk now and still have a max slot, which I think is interesting. I don't really know how they would fill that, but I just don't understand the impetus for this move.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird to me, especially because even if you like looking at it from a bigger picture, I mean, why are you giving up future assets, even if it gets you out of the East, even if you think it does make you better than the Bucks, which I don't think it does.
I'm not even sure
okay,
they're better than the Raptors either, but that's neither here nor there.
Right, yeah. As we had talked about the other day, I think the Bucks are better than the Raptors,
Sure.
so that's why I'm using them. Yeah, I mean, the Raptors are in the conversation, obviously, as well. But even if you get out of the East, you're not winning.
No. This is a marginal move to their title odds this year, and as best as I could tell, a definite decrease in their future title odds.
And their bench also just got worse.
Yep.
Like, their bench was already, it just got worse.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't understand it. If they don't ever make the Butler trade, and they make this trade, they bring in Tobias Harris, they still have Covington, they still have Saric. Maybe they lose Saric in that deal, who knows, just for salary ballast. Although I guess they wouldn't have had to. I like that team a lot. way more balanced, way better. They fit together. Do you know Tobias Harris is shooting 43% from 3 this year?
Wow, no, I didn't.
That's craziness. 42 last year, so like it's not even like a blip on the radar. It's not Derrick Rose.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, I love the fit for Harris. I mean, obviously, helps with the spacing. It helps Simmons. It helps Embiid. Like, it helps everything. It's just that there are still diminishing returns when you're playing with one basketball. And when you already have Embiid, Simmons, and Butler, yeah, you got a really good player that I like a lot in Tobias Harris. But there's only so much he's going to be able to contribute above what you were already getting.
Exactly. It's just like you are unless they have some sort of weird knowledge of like letting Butler walk and bringing in someone else, which takes a little bit of cap gymnastics, but they can do it. They have like 5 guys on contract next year officially. So like they have the space. I don't know who it would be, but I don't know what they're doing. It's so weird. That's so much to give up. And I love this for the Clippers. This looks fantastic.
Yeah.
They're set up to be basically the Knicks in that they have 2 full max slots. Only they happen to have like 6 other rotation pieces on the team instead of, I don't know, 0.
Right.
Like
I'm just excited to not have to watch
a bunch of Noah Vonleys on their team right now, and the Knicks have 1 Noah Vonleh.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just excited to watch Landry Shamet hit like 11 3-pointers against the Wizards anymore.
Y'all got to stop being biased, and defensively, the Sixers are going to be a headache. Defensively?
Well, we're comparing them to the Bucks. Do you think they just got better defensive? For one, they didn't get better defensively.
They got worse defensively.
For 2, and for 2, they're still not better than the Bucks.
Right. They certainly got better offensively. Who knows how this fit works? I mean, it's not as if Tobias Harris is a ball hog by any means, but he is also a 23% usage guy.
Right.
He can't shoot much better than 43%. Like, even if he does get improved looks and less usage, that can only tick up so far. I don't know. It's craziness to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think the offense becomes more efficient.
Should.
I don't think the defense doesn't.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I woke up. I opened my podcast app, and it's dunked on. And it says, like, Harris deal. And I was just like, the fuck did I miss? And then I open up Slack. No one's talking about it in our, like, Awesemo internal DM of, our group. And I was like, okay, so this happened, like, truly in the middle of the night. And then I start racking my brain like, I wonder where Tobias Harris got traded to. At no point in time was my thought process, oh, he probably went to the Sixers.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would have ever gotten there.
I figured it out pretty quick because, like, the first tweet I saw was someone saying something about Motley, and I was just like, who got hurt? And I was like, oh, Harris must have gotten traded. And the next tweet was someone that I know is from Philly, and they were, like, talking about whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess Harris went to Philly.
Yeah, what was I just about to say? Kevin Pelton gave the deal a C- for the Sixers and an A for the Clippers, if anybody's curious. Yeah, I don't. The first thing I thought was like, man, Sam Hinkie's gonna wake up and see this and be like, oh, they fucked it all up. Because they did. They fucked it all up. They have the war chest is now empty. And, I can't fault them for the Fultz pick. No one could have seen that coming, but that's dead. Noel's dead. Okafor's dead. They don't have picks.
So Okafor is very much alive, just not for the Sixers.
I mean, exactly. I mean, even still, like, he's dead to that team. He'd be useless on the Sixers, at least.
Yeah, no question.
And now it's just like, okay, it's Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler, just like they drew it up. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why do that unless you're like, not to get Tobias? I like Tobias Harris a lot. He's a fantastic fit for this team. They're not going to win the NBA title this year. So then why hurt yourself in the future? What's the game?
I hate that on NBA.com now, unless I just can't find it, you can't sort by starters and bench. I wanted to compare net ratings between the Bucks and the Sixers.
Oh my god, it's got to be ludicrous. I mean, Wybink said it's either going to be Brand's best job or last job. It's not going to be his best job. He's dead in the water now. Yeah. He just is. Is there any way that they could flip Butler and make this team better?
I mean, it would just be weird because it's like, what would they add to make it better?
I mean, I would think if you called up the Timberwolves and said, can you give me Robert Covington and Dario Saric and Jared Bayless, that would fill out the Sixers' depth issues very nicely. And I think the Wolves would be like, fuck off.
You think?
Yeah, clearly. I'm joking. My first, like, I know that he has talked about Brooklyn, but you could never sell a Butler to the Nets package for, like, all of their relevant depth. That would die. But, like, getting Damari Carroll and Joe Harris and somebody else would be great in a vacuum for this season. It's craziness. Like, would you rather have Tobias Harris or Jimmy Butler right now if you had to trade one of those two from the Sixers?
Tobias Harris.
Right. It's craziness. Craziness. I just don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but man, when they get bounced in the second round of the playoffs, it's going to be hilarious. Which is very much on the table.
I just pulled up. So, I mean, I couldn't sort by starters and bench, obviously, but I just pulled up net ratings since the start of January, just because I was getting a laugh out of everyone on Twitter who's saying that either one, the Sixers were already better than the Bucks, or two, that the Raptors are better than the Bucks. Golden State number 1, 13.3. Bucks number 2, 12.1. Celtics 3 at 9.6, so 2.5 below the Bucks.
Yeah.
Blazers at 7.8. Sixers at 5.1. Raptors down at 4.5.
Fair enough. Although I don't know if Chad is arguing with themselves or us. I don't think that either of us are saying that this makes the Sixers worse this year.
No.
No.
Yes, I can't see chat. I just know that I tweeted that the Bucks were still the favorites in the East, and I got some pushback that the Sixers were already better than the Bucks.
No, that's
or
not even remotely
that
close.
Right, or that the Raptors were better than the Bucks.
Yeah, I would say, like, I mean, there's a very, you could say that the Sixers are still fourth. Would you take Boston or Philly in the series? It's close.
Philly, but it's really close. Yeah, I mean, I still think, and I know you and I disagree on the top.
That's the problem, too, that it's a coin flip.
Right. Yeah, and I know you and I disagree a little bit on the Bucks and the Raptors, like the difference between them. But, I mean, I think it's like the Raptors, the Celtics, the Sixers, any of them could win a series against, like, the other one. I just think the Bucks are still, like, the class out of that group.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think that anyone, like, even if we just want to say that they're all relatively equal, that's a really scary proposition of working your way through the East and making that sort of move for Tobias Harris. That's not to say that, like, we even don't think that they're equal. But even if they are equal, that's a really difficult proposition and a really weird way to mortgage your future.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Like, even let's say that I am underselling the Sixers or overstating the Bucks, and, you know, it's a 50-50 against the Bucks, but it's also a 50-50 against whoever they play out of the Celtics or the Raptors. That's still a lot to give up for a couple of coin flips.
Yep. I mean, they have to win. Let's just say they have to win 3 coin flips. It's the quarters of the semifinals in the East finals, and then the actual finals. Let's say that every single one of those are coin flips, which is a very, very rosy scenario. How much did Tobias Harris put them to that 3 coin flip spot? It's not that much.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's not, like, if they can just sign Tobias Harris off the shelf, sure. But that's just so much asset. And they're in trouble. I think they're in trouble. I hope
I wonder what Lofty's take is.
I don't know. He'll probably give some homery response. I wish that he would have been. Not that I don't enjoy doing the show with you, but I wish that he would have been on.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine he likes it.
I do know that he's all about going for it. Or I think I remember from the Butler trade that he was kind of all about going for it at this point.
And that's the craziest part of it for me. And, like, I get it. But when did Simmons and Embiid become 29?
Right.
Why did this year have to be the year that they go for it? I don't get it. Of all the teams in the league, like, you're set up to be better later.
Right.
Crazy. Alrighty. NBA Strategy is the promo code, everybody. 50% off your first monthly package. Any package you choose, including Fantasy Cruncher. Sign up and use our tools. And as usual, on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we are brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. If you go to bit.ly, as I type it, /Awesemo, you get $10 on a $10 deposit, $20 on 100, $50 on 200. Thrive is a new DFS site where you're trying to pick player props. They give you a list of 20 for the day. You pick your favorite 10. You're trying to pick whether someone's going to go over their points, rebounds, assists, and you get a certain amount of points for doing it. At the end of the show, Adam and I will talk about our favorite 5. David Locke. Josh, good job talking about Philly trade and distracting attention from Whiteside. No, he didn't do anything that I'm shocked about. I'm surprised how much they bodied up OKC, but no, that's... Him filling a stat sheet is real normal.
I didn't even see what he did. I was too pissed off about.
He was probably
TJ McConnell night going poorly.
Yeah, he was probably the best play of the day yesterday. He played 30 minutes. He's probably
Okay, yeah.
and if we know that he's playing 30 minutes, 5 minutes before lock, he's probably my most exposed guy outside of Ivan Robb.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem.
And Jaren Jackson, who are we kidding?
Well, yeah. But yeah, if I could project Hassan Whiteside for 30 minutes, dude's gonna grade out spectacularly. That's kind of the issue. Do you think Wes Matthews goes to Houston or Philly? Let's close this out and then we'll get on to it. Because that's really like, that's the piece.
Houston.
Yeah, so do I. How is it a bad trade for the Sixers? Harris is a solid stretch four. Chandler was not going to do it. No one, yeah, no one thinks that getting Tobias Harris makes the Sixers worse. It's the fact that they have emptied the war chest to not really make themselves better in terms of winning a title. There's a difference between making your team better and dramatically improving your championship odds, which is why you make that deal. Ooh, Wes Matthews, OKC. That's also a really interesting piece.
Yeah, it is.
That's actually the better spot. The best possible version of Abrinas, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that
because then you could you could have Harrison continue getting minutes as a defender, but you don't have to play him for a ton of minutes and have a 0 on offense there.
Yeah, I actually do like that. And if he go like Oklahoma City is the type of team that could really use a marginal move to make a jump.
Yeah.
Hell,
and just like
Harris would have been decent there.
Yeah. Just like a quick point back to the whole, Harris made them better, but so like, and I think you were saying it earlier, but like, imagine Jimmy Butler weren't on this team, like they hadn't made that trade. Like, say it's the exact same team, just like without Jimmy Butler. Like, getting Tobias Harris makes a massive difference then.
Yes,
but getting Tobias Harris here, like they're already at like X point. Getting Harris doesn't jump them over some cliff; it just makes them like marginally better, and they gave up a lot to do that.
Yeah, like if they had a 10% chance to win the title, I haven't looked at the numbers or anything, but if they had a 10, it's probably what, like 11 now?
Right. It's less than 15 probably.
Yeah. That's the piece that people miss. It's not that simple. And now they're likely they either let him walk and really bury themselves, or they're paying Tobias Harris $120 to $150 million over the next 4 to 5 years.
Right.
Look, I like Tobias Harris.
Shit, maybe the Knicks are the big winner here if they can't do that.
Yeah. The Sixers just bought the Knicks out of a mistake. Jimmy Butler to the Knicks now. All right, let's do this. First game up on the list. 7:30 start, by the way, people. So deep dive will start at 5:30. Live before lock will start at 6:30. Everybody's saying it's lagging now. Connection looks good on my end.
Not lagging for me. I'm not watching the video, but like our room isn't.
Yeah. I tend to trust the chat, but at least on that sort of issue. I don't know.
You mean the same people that were just telling us the Sixers like are going to win a championship or something?
Well, I trust them if they're telling me the video's lagging. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't trust them that much, but they should be able to know when something's actually fucking up. Okay. Nets and Nuggets. 118.5 implied total for the Nets. 115 for the Nuggets. Did I type that in right?
119, 115?
Yeah, but which team?
Brooklyn.
Okay, so Brooklyn really is the favorite here. Wow. Is somebody out? What am I missing here?
Brooklyn's not bad.
I don't. It's not that I disagree there. This is implying that they would be like, this would be like a pick'em on a neutral floor.
I mean, Murray's questionable to mate. Like, he's still questionable, right?
Yeah. That's not something I would have expected. Wow. Okay. Little bit of a pace down spot for Brooklyn. A little bit of a pace up spot for the Nugs. Russell, 8,300 on FanDuel, 8,100 on DK, $34 on Yahoo. I'm perfectly fine having some D'Angelo Russell here.
Yeah, as am I. The price tag, still obviously gives him a ton of upside. Still 30% usage, 40% assist percentage. without Dinwiddie on the floor. So no problems with Russell.
12% ownership on FanDuel and DK right now. I don't have much of an issue being north of that number. It's so good. Jared Allen, 6,100, 5,100, $17. I mean, it's just a minutes play. If it's the day that he gets 30, I like it. If it's the day that he gets 22, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I love the price tag. The problem is that the position's really deep again today.
Yeah.
But he's cheap enough where, especially on, actually, I guess really either side, because FanDuel you have tighter pricing, and DraftKings you have the 2 center spots. You know, you get a ton of upside into your lineup by saving a little bit of money here.
Jared Allen and Ed Davis are the Brooklyn version of Hassan Whiteside and Bam Adebayo. Just approach them the same exact way. Do you care about anything else here for Brooklyn?
So, I mean, secondary options with like Harris and Napier, but Russell and Allen are the 2 that stand out.
Yeah, I agree. Nobody's really garnering any ownership here. Napier would be the guy that I look at most, but not that appealing of a spot, even though the 118.5 implied total is pretty nice. Go to the Denver side. 10-8 for Nikola Jokic, 10-6 on DK, $49 on Yahoo. I love Jokic here. That should be no surprise. Pace up. Everything points to this being like a really great Nikola Jokic game. Am I missing anything?
Yeah, fastest paced team in the league over the last month. Second best defensive team, but not really concerned about that. You know, obviously Jokic does everything. Brooklyn's given it up to opposing centers all season long. Did you say he was 10-8 on FanDuel?
I did indeed.
I hadn't actually looked. I assumed he was like 11-7 or something.
No, you should get smashed at 10-8.
Yeah. Obviously a really good price tag there. A nice price tag on DraftKings as well. Really, really love Jokic.
Okay, cool. Do you think Murray plays?
Probably like 60-40 that he does.
Yeah, I have him in right now. 6,500 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DK. I will likely have a little if we know that he's in. The good news is we'll know that he's in at the start. This isn't a 10 o'clock Denver start or something like that. So,
right.
I don't have anything crazy to say. He's sort of priced where he should be.
I do think that if he's in and Millsap's out, and I haven't looked at the numbers, I'm just kind of assuming, that you have Harris out. If Millsap's out too, you probably could get a pretty nice usage rate from Murray.
Yeah, for sure. I have Millsap in right now, but this isn't really like a complicated thing. If he's out, just play Mason Plumlee and Trey Lyles at 3,700 on DraftKings. You don't really have to pay much attention to anything else.
I'm not sure about Lyles.
Even at 3,700?
I wanted to pull that up because I know he had a good game last game, but I think there was foul trouble involved in a blowout. I don't, like, when I map out that game, I don't get a lot of minutes for Lyles.
With Millsap out?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he played 9 first half minutes, and then he played a ton in a blowout in the second half. I think he plays like 20 minutes.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that right now then. Yeah,
so Jokic picked up 3 first half fouls, picked up his 4th foul in the third quarter, which is when Lyles subbed in. You had to move Plumlee to center earlier than normal. And then Lyles subbed in. That was at the 6:49 mark of the third quarter. He played the entire rest of the game because then Jokic subbed in for Plumlee at center, and then the game blew out. Plumlee came back for a little bit. Lyles just played the entire rest of the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess
like you
does. So what do we think the closing 5 is if Paul Millsap is not on the floor?
Jokic, Plumlee, Barton, Beasley, Morris, or Murray, whichever.
Does Plumlee generally close? That's not something I've paid attention to.
I haven't checked, but I don't know why he wouldn't.
It strikes me as a weird game for them to go Jokic, Plumlee in a closing lineup.
They've been doing it against like everyone though. I mean, he was defending Kawhi Leonard earlier this year when Millsap was out.
Lovely.
and succeeding at it.
Oh man, that's tricky. Yeah, maybe it's just my brain telling me that it should be Lyles because those pieces don't fit together.
Even like, and I just don't like. They've had a lot of opportunities to give Lyles minutes this year, and they don't. I think that. So I mean, the closing lineup for Brooklyn, we're assuming is what, like Kurik's at the 4.
So Napier, Russell, Harris, Allen, X, whether that's Kuruks or Carroll or whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter who that fourth person is, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just going to say that
flavors of the same thing.
Yeah, I was say that the Nuggets could even go smaller than Lyles.
Yeah.
Like if they didn't want to go Plumlee, they could just like go small.
Yeah. Okay. It's something that I would keep a close eye on. Because even if he plays 20 minutes, I don't necessarily hate it at 3,700.
No, the reason that I would hate it is that people are 100% going to think that because he went nuts last game and Millsap is out, that he's like a great play. And he's, I would say, a absolute lock to be overowned for someone that is projected to play 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point there. You would want to keep an eye on the ownership. If value doesn't open and that stays low, 3,700 would work in a Millsap out scenario. Whew, we're putting more time into this than most people would. Okay, we've talked about Jokic, we've talked about Murray, and we've talked about Lyles and Plumlee if Millsap is out. Will Barton getting 19% ownership on FanDuel at 5,500. I don't mind that.
No, I think that's just a pretty bad price tag. Like bad as in just mispriced.
Do you care about him at 6K on DraftKings? Because I don't find that to be terribly appealing.
Not nearly as much. It's just that there's with the roster flexibility on DraftKings, you can just find so many guys that are comparable or better plays. Whereas FanDuel, you have to roster the 2 small forwards, and he's clearly underpriced.
Yep. I don't have anything else here. If Murray is out, you guys know what to do.
I was trying to pull up games from before. All right, so prior to last game, the last time Plumlee started for Millsap, he was in he didn't close, but he was in massive foul trouble, and the game wasn't particularly close. The game before that, he played 30 minutes. It was against the Kings, though, so that's a bigger front.
Yeah. There's a path to like 24 minutes for Trey Lyles, I would say, in a Millsap out scenario.
Plumlee closed against. All right, so what was the Kings lineup here? The Kings closed with Cauley Stein and Bielitsa, and the Nuggets closed with Jokic Plumlee.
What is their fascination with this shit?
I like it.
You like the Jokic Plumlee in 2019?
I mean, they're both athletic enough, and they're both good enough passers.
Are we really saying that Plumlee is athletic enough to be a 4 in 2019?
I mean, he's been okay I'm not looking at it, but I think that unit's been fine defensively.
Let me look at them right now.
That could definitely be wrong.
I have no idea. For some reason, I don't look at this. And for the record, I don't disagree. Christian Fernandez just mentioned this in the chat. If Lyle's ownership goes up with Millsap out, I agree. Like, let everybody else do it.
10.9 net rating for Plumlee plus Jokic.
They're at 5.3 for the season. You're telling me they double that shit with Plumlee and Jokic?
I guess, yeah. They played 304 minutes together. It's 10.9.
Ooh, I've got plus 14.4 from cleaning the glass, and that takes out all the garbage time. Holy shit. They are a 99th percentile. Wow, that considers Jokic to be the 4th. That's funny. They have a 124.6 offensive rating, 99th percentile. They are middle of the pack in defense, which is pretty much all you need when you have the greatest offense in the history of offense. Oh my God. Murray, Craig, Hernan Gomez, Jokic, Plumlee is minus 4.6. They've played half of the possessions. That's how good they've been with anybody other than basically Torrey Craig, I guess.
Or Hernan Gomez, yeah.
I'm trying to see if Hernan Gomez. Well, yeah. What a weird combination that turns out to be. Yeah, half of their possessions have been played at a minus 4.6, which means that the other half are being played at like plus 20.
If you take off Hernandez, they played 105 minutes, and I have them at 21.
Yeah. Oh my god. That is,
And that's basically like looking at who else is on the floor. That's basically the Morris, Beasley, Craig, Plumlee, Jokic.
yeah. Wow. I would not have expected that. Massive now this is the piece that makes the most sense. They have a massive offensive rebounding rate. So if you put shooting out there and you have those two guys just gobbling up any particular miss, getting all those extra possessions is huge.
Yeah. So I guess that's why they have the fascination with it.
Yeah. Kudos to Mike Malone. I don't have anything else in this game. Want to move on?
Yeah.
That was fun. Bulls and Pelicans. Or whatever you want to call the Pelicans now. The G League team. Do they have a G League team? Are they the one team that doesn't?
It's currently in Chicago.
Good point. 112 implied total for the Bulls. I think the Nuggets are the team that don't have one. Somebody.
No, I think they do.
Someone doesn't. One team.
I'm almost positive the Nuggets do.
They might. Now I just need to know, or it's going to bother me. Who doesn't have a G League team? That's not true. It's more than 22. Nobody's answering in chat. I don't think Denver does.
Really? I just feel like I can remember like so many guys being sent back and forth. Like Torrey Craig.
I don't see their name in this list. Yeah, they don't. They're the team that doesn't.
Huh. Weird.
Utah has one. Salt Lake City Stars. Yeah, no. The Pelicans didn't. Or maybe still don't, but will. I don't see Denver here, right? No. Craziness. Anyway. The Bulls are 1-point favorites against the Pelicans today.
Wow. That's insane. Not like saying the line's wrong, but that's insane.
Big time pace up spot for Chicago. We'll start on that side. 7,300 for Zach LaVine on FanDuel, 6,600 on DK, 24 on Yahoo. Zach LaVine, 28% expected ownership on DK today. Third highest number of the entire slate. How do you want to manage chalk Zach LaVine today?
I mean, it's a good play, I think. I think he's just too cheap. Obviously he's extremely scoring dependent. You have Chris Dunn good to go. So that takes a lot of the assists away from LaVine, but still should play 35, 36 minutes in a competitive game. And at 6,600, it's just pretty tough for him to disappoint in the spot.
Feels like a good spot to fade if he's 28% owned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other options.
Yeah. Markkanen is 7,800 on FanDuel, 6,900 on DraftKings, 31 on Yahoo. He's also pretty chalky, around 20% on both sites. Again, like I don't mind having some, but I don't want to have the same as everybody else. I like Markkanen less than I like LaVine.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
And then Dunn picking up some ownership on FanDuel, 6,600. He's at 23%, only at 9% on DK, where his price is only $200 cheaper. I'd be more likely to go to Dunn instead of LaVine.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm trying to get their numbers right. But I think I have LaVine projected as the best, but it's just not by a wide enough margin where I would want to ignore ownership.
I agree. Portis, 6,800 on FanDuel, 5,900 on DraftKings, getting 13% ownership. Just depends how many minutes he gets.
Yeah, I mean, Jabari's back,
yes,
it sounds like. So that's obviously a problem because last game Parker was out. And so you saw Portis picking up minutes not exclusively at center. He played some alongside Lopez, but he also played the bulk of his minutes at center. He only got 16 minutes for Rolo there. So I think you can still project, around 28 from Portis here with upside for more.
Yeah, I have him in for 27 right now. I really don't know what to do with him or this team. Jabari for 3,900 on FanDuel if he plays. Works as a punt, I guess.
Yeah, FanDuel.
Yeah, I don't need him on
specifically.
DK.
Yeah.
That's probably it for us, unless you have like a really good Wayne Selden take.
I don't.
I didn't think so. We'll go to the Pels. Julius Randle, questionable. Anthony Davis, questionable. I think you and I would both agree that there's no possible way Anthony Davis steps foot on this floor today.
He's doubtful now, or like not officially, but they said he's not playing, or he's probably not playing.
Oh. Yeah. Wait, are you talking Randle or AD?
AD.
Okay. I mean, he's not playing. He's just not.
Yeah.
He would.
He is healthy enough to play.
Yes, which is interesting from a league perspective. Do you think Randle plays?
No, I don't think any of these guys play before the deadline.
I think Randle might play if he's healthy enough to play. I think they're getting to the point now where they might have. It's kind of like the Bulls did. Was it last year when they were benching Robin Lopez and they were just like, "Yo, we know that he's healthy. You have to fucking play Robin Lopez," and then they had to bring him back out for like little bits. I think that they're going to have to trickle some of these guys in. So it wouldn't. But they have Randle in right now.
They only have to do it for one more day.
True.
And it's not like they are in any hurry to, like with the way they've been playing, the individual players, not the team, they're not in any hurry to stop letting, Okafor or Kenrich Williams play.
Yeah. I have Randle in right now because he's questionable, and I don't really know what else. I can't just guess on that. The AD one I'm comfortable with. They'll turn that into a sham.
Yeah.
Does it change? Does it even matter? Like, I don't want Randle at 8,500 or 7,700. It's not like they're gonna. If he plays, he's gonna play 36 minutes. So.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it matters for Okafor and Kenrich.
I guess. You mean shooting guard Kenrich Williams? He a shooting guard on one of the sites?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's shooting guard, small forward on DraftKings.
Okay. You want Drew 9,400 on FanDuel, 9K on DK.
I'm not opposed to it. It just gets tough when you get like, he's $2,400 more expensive than Levine. There's, he's 900 more than D'Angelo Russell. They have very comparable ceilings. So, he's 400 more than Beal.
Yeah.
Luka's not that much more expensive.
I would have no problem if I got him. I don't really care if I do.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm fine having however much Drew Holiday I get. It's just that looking at the guys around him, I imagine that it won't be a spot where I'm taking some massive stand and he's like my highest owned guy.
I'd love to know what's going through his head right about now.
Right.
Super glad I signed that deal, guys. This team sucks.
Well, yeah, I mean, he came out immediately and said he signed the deal because of Davis.
Yeah. I like Okafor on FanDuel for 7,800.
I like him on DraftKings for 73 too.
Yeah, so do I. A little bit of ownership there. Frank Jackson chalk night again on FanDuel, $3,700, 24% expected ownership. I guess.
I mean, I just don't think that we should be playing these the Pelicans guards as chalk. Like the minutes are all over the place. The production is all over the place. Like, why would you roster these guys when they're popular? And then conversely, you just can when they're not.
Greek Ink asking in Slack, saying that he doesn't think that 8,500 is too much for Randle on FanDuel. It just is. I can't imagine that they bring him back after all this time off and he plays like a legitimate allotment of minutes.
Is he still a center on FanDuel? Because that makes a big difference too.
Yeah, if he's a center, then I really don't like it. Collapse. He is He's a power forward.
Okay.
Like, would you rather have 8K for Reed or Julius Randle at 8,500?
Yeah, Fareed.
We're marking in at 78.
Marketing.
Yeah, Portis at 68. Bagley at 68. I mean, if we find out that they're like, oh yeah, and Julius Randle's going to play 34 tonight, well, sure. I've got him in for 26 minutes. He couldn't be further away from a play from me.
But yeah, I mean, with the guards, you had Frank Jackson last game at 23, Frazier at 17.5, Ian Clark at 28.
Yeah.
Game before that, Frank Jackson plays 42, Frazier plays 27, Clark barely plays. I don't think there's any way to confidently predict their minutes. And that's without getting into the fact that we're talking about Frank Jackson, Tim Frazier, and Ian Clark. So their production is going to be all over the place anyway. If they're popular, it's a pretty easy spot to just find other players.
Yeah. We're not really projecting a lot of ownership to Kenrich Williams. Do you have any interest in him if he's at 0?
I don't believe for a second that he doesn't get ownership, but if he didn't, then yes.
Yeah. He'd be the guy that
I'm
I like the
that's
most.
We have Randall. Well, I'm assuming that's because we have Randall projected in.
Yeah, I guess. I still have Kenrich Williams in for a decent chunk of minutes too, but I don't know. We need a lot of news on New Orleans for me to feel really comfortable, and I don't particularly like much of this team at all, especially on DK.
Yeah, I like the production we've gotten from Kenrich Williams. It's just that he has been so popular, and now the price tag's up to 5K. I hate chasing like guys who have low usage rates and don't really score and are reliant on rebounding and stuff. Like, he's been very good at rebounding, but when their price tag starts to go up and they're still really popular, you can normally just find guys around them that have very comparable upsides. Like, even last slate, it didn't work out, but Kenrich was 30% owned and Darius Miller was 5% with like a $400 price difference between them. I don't like Darius Miller either, but they're very comparable in terms of ceiling.
Yes, they are. Moving on.
Yeah, I just wanted to see. Never mind. Yeah, good to go.
This one's going to be rough for you, man. The Milwaukee Bucks hosting the Washington Wizards, who could desperately use a wizard to fix John Wall's Achilles. That is arguably the most impactful injury in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
His contract looked like shit when he was healthy. Now a year and a half of it is basically dead in the water.
I'd be surprised. I'd be kind of surprised if he comes back.
You mean like ever?
Like as a competent NBA player, like at all.
Well, the good thing is he's never really relied on athleticism.
Right. That's exactly my point.
Yeah, this is fucking brutal, man. And from what
I'm sure he'll be back. He has a lot of reasons to come back, but as far as like someone who actually like starts and plays remotely competent basketball, I don't think it happens.
I feel bad for him. That's fucking terrible. I mean, as bad as I could feel for someone that's going to make $150 million to sit on his ass for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And he's going to work his ass off to get back, I'm sure. It's probably never going to be the same. From what they were talking about on Dunked On last night, I don't even think the Wizards can apply for an injury exemption for him. You have to say that he has no chance of getting back by like June 15th of the following year, and they're not going to be able to get that sort of like information from a doctor. So like they can't even save it from that and get like an exception. Yikes. So sorry to you and having absolutely no chance to be a successful basketball team for like the next 5 years.
Yeah.
That probably hurt.
Yeah, it's brutal. At least we have Satoransky.
Yeah, until he leaves in restricted free agency, or you pay him $15 million to be your point guard for the next 2 years.
Right.
They need him to retire. Wall, that is.
Yeah. Work out some kind of deal where they just like give him the Bobby Bonilla plan to retire.
Yeah, or Get him on that Chris Bosh plan. All right. Bucks. This is a great spot for the Bucks, except for the fact that they've been beating everyone in the league by 15 a night. So let's just talk about them as a whole. I don't see how we could really point out individual plays here. How do we manage a Bucks team that has been just beating the shit out of everyone and thus greatly negatively impacting their 5 best players?
Yeah, it's really, really tough because I love the spot for all these guys, but they're just such a good team on both ends of the floor that it's not even predicting a blowout in that, oh, they're a lot better than the Wizards. It's that it's what they do every single night. Um, they're just that good. It's like when you factor in the competition of teams in the East, it's like the Warriors when, last year and the year before when the Warriors were just playing 3 quarters every night.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how it is. And so it makes it tough to roster multiple of these guys on the same team, especially with Giannis. Like Giannis's price point by itself is perfectly fine. But if you have Giannis and Middleton on a team and suddenly you're hoping in tournaments that Middleton gets you like 40 or 45 DraftKings points, if he does that, what's the likelihood that Giannis also gets you 70? And if that does happen, you probably have like 3 Wizards on your team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing to have Giannis and Middleton if they're playing the Celtics, the Sixers, the Raptors, a game where you anticipate it being close. It's really hard sell for Giannis plus Middleton against the Wiz.
Right. Like I'm okay with like Middleton plus Bledsoe or Middleton plus Brogdon or something like that.
Yeah.
Because you just basically need a game flow where Giannis does, fine, but doesn't take over the game.
Yeah.
But when you're allocating, $11,000 to Giannis and what you need to come with that production, it becomes really difficult to get a mid-range guy to go nuts as well.
It's tricky because everybody grades out okay, but I can't give them massive minutes. They're all in like the 30 to 33 range.
Right.
We've got all of them in the teens in ownership on DK. Giannis is at 24 on FanDuel, Bledsoe 18, Middleton and Brogdon at 8. I don't know what to do.
I do love this. I love this as a game stack.
With the non-Giannis pieces?
With anything. Okay. Because if this game does stay competitive, it's like, the game's got almost a 130 total. Like, there's going to be points. Like, the pace is good. But Washington relies very heavily on, their starters. They all play huge minutes, plus Jeff Green in a spot where he should get a ton of minutes at center. So where the production's coming from for Washington. Where the production's coming from Milwaukee. The only question here is the game competitive into the fourth quarter? If it is, you're looking at probably really good score, a lot of guys in this game.
I don't disagree. We're getting a lot of YouTube chat love for Jordan McCrae, so I'm just going to let you loose on that one now.
He's not in the rotation. He might be now after last game, but he played last game because Bradley Beal got 3 fouls in the first half. They were getting their asses kicked by Atlanta, and Jordan McCrae single-handedly brought them back. So that earned him some minutes in the second half. But he was not in the rotation. If you pull up Popcorn Machine and you look, Jordan McCrae did not play a single minute before the 8-minute and 40-second mark of the second quarter when he sparked a 21-5 Washington run. So I think Jordan McCrae gets minutes today. I'd be surprised if he goes back to just not playing, especially because, for one, even prior to the Atlanta game, Scott Brooks had talked about the offensive spark that McCrae provides. And for two, I don't remember the exact number of days, but they're running out on days for Jordan McCrae to figure out what they want to do with him. So I think he probably, and Troy Brown's out. So I think he probably does get rotation minutes tonight, but it's not like suddenly they're like Lou Williams' sixth man. Like, he probably plays, if the game's competitive, 12 to 16 minutes.
Oh, God. Sorry, chat. I knew where this was going to go, and I got really excited about it. Oh, God.
He probably takes Sam Decker minutes or something.
Sure. Huh. That was so much fun. I knew it was going to get you really aggravated. I've known for 2 days. Whew. Making my cornhole tickle with all that smoke you're blowing in it. McCrae all day. I love it. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. Oh God. Okay, so let's talk about Washington because I don't think that we have anything really to touch on Milwaukee. I'm comfortable having any part of their big four
You said of Washington?
of Milwaukee. Like it's just
Oh, Milwaukee.
it's
Yeah,
hard for me to
yeah.
really say I prioritize stuff there.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's a great spot for Brook Lopez, too, if you wanted a fifth guy.
Oh God, people are really just cranking away to McCrae.
So if Jordan McCrae got into your lineups last game, your projections suck because he should have been projected for 0 minutes.
Yep.
Not saying he plays 0 today, but there's no like from that Atlanta game, there was no like, damn, I knew I kind of liked McCrae, or like, damn, I'm glad he ended up in that 5% of my lineups. Like he should have been projected for 0 points.
Yep. I loved asking you the question and seeing the reaction on your face. That was the part of it why I loved it. Manningdale City says, "Why is that funny? Isn't it our job to find guys like him before he gets normal minutes? He's not going to get normal minutes. He's barely going to be on the team in 4 days."
So like when Troy Brown comes back, are you just going to play him because he was their first round pick and he's been sitting on the end of the bench all season long? Yeah. Like that's what McCrae's role actually is. Like it's Troy Brown.
Yep. Look, there's going to be a guy or two every single night that is $3,400 that you expected to play 2 minutes and he plays 18 because the team got their ass handed to them and he becomes a value. Do you think that you can pick those shits out of the sky? Have at it.
Yeah, I mean, what it really comes down to is if Bradley Beal does not pick up his third foul at the 8-minute and 40-second mark of the second quarter, Jordan McCrae plays 0 first half minutes.
Yep. Yeah.
And then, obviously doesn't bring the team back, so who knows how it goes from there. But, there was no, like, Scott Brooks didn't go into this game like, I'm going to play Jordan McCrae for 1 single minute. He went into this game like, who the hell is sitting on the end of the bench?
We're getting clobbered for this take in YouTube chat, which makes me feel even better.
Just guys, open up popcorn machines sometimes. Stop looking at like how something turns out.
Yep, exactly. Oh God.
Or like pay attention to basketball.
Yeah, it's craziness. Beal 9K on FanDuel, 8,600 on DraftKings. Little bit of exposure here. This is a very, very scary spot for Bradley Beal.
Yeah, it's terrifying. If I play Wizards, especially Beal, like if I pay money for Wizards, I really want to run it back with someone from Milwaukee, because if Beal plays 40 minutes in this game, it means that it was competitive and it means that the Milwaukee guys played plenty of minutes as well. So again, like you don't need to do it from the Milwaukee side, because in order for Milwaukee to blow out the Wizards, there have to be a lot of points there. So you can just have, Bledsoe or Middleton or whatever by themselves and just hope that they're the one that does the blowing out. But from the Washington side, I think that basically forcing it to become like a mini game stack where if you have Wizards in your lineups, you want Bucks also makes a lot of sense.
If you're guessing right now, what percentage of your lineups contain Jordan McCrae tonight?
0.
Okay. There we go.
I mean, I have him at 12 minutes. I normally don't play guys that I think are going to play 12 minutes.
Yep. Exactly. We got a quote in here. Here goes Adam with the "I hate McCrae, but I'm playing him today because I run 150." So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that they were crazy.
Yeah, no, I play like lineups that I think I play good like plays in my lineups.
Ooh, shots fired, and also very correct. Porter 22% expected ownership on DK, 5,800. Just in case you're curious, Trevor Ariza is at 5,700. Tomas Satoransky is at 5,600. Both guys at either half of the ownership or like 1/5. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you have less Porter and more of those other two guys tonight.
Yeah, and it's nothing against Porter. It's just that they're all the same.
Yeah, they are.
So, and just to get back to the McCrae thing really quick, because like again, I think he plays minutes, but figure out where. So you think those minutes come from? Are the Wizards going to bench Bradley Beal for Jordan McCrae? Are they going to bench Satoransky? The answer to both of those questions is no, assuming the game is remotely competitive. Yeah. Porter's not going anywhere. Ariza's not going anywhere. Like McCrae's not playing center, so he can't play that many minutes.
That's where your biggest mistake is, assuming that he can't play center. Yeah, I like Beal, Porter, Satoransky, Ariza, Jeff Green. I'm in for little bits of all those guys. I like Beal the least, probably. And I don't have I'm not fond of getting 22% auto Porter with the public. So yeah, Satoransky, Ariza, and Green are to me the pretty clear priorities here, especially on DK.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. And I just wanted to point out that last game against Milwaukee, Jan Mahinmi did not play, which isn't surprising because he's not needed against Brook Lopez. He's not needed against Ersan. He's not needed against DJ Wilson.
I put him in for 8, and I could easily take those away.
Yeah, I'm giving him 0. I think that you just get Bryant plus Jeff Green.
Yeah, I have Jeff Green in for 32. We have his ownership at 1%, which, holy shit, if that holds.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Jordan McCrae played 14 minutes against the Bucks last game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he subbed in at the 1 minute and 30-second mark of the third quarter and never left the floor. While the Wizards were losing by like 25 points.
Oh, God, I love this. All right, let's get out of this game. Move on. Hit that like button while you're here, guys. It'd be greatly appreciated since we have.
He also went nuts in the fourth quarter.
493 people here right now.
Nice.
Also, we broke 5K on Monday.
Oh wow, awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of exciting.
You know, I'm actually scared about how much I just like railed against Jordan McCrae.
I mean,
only because like he is he's a really good scorer.
Yeah,
it's not like he's the guy that like doesn't do anything when he's out there. So like if they do, or if they're down by like 40 at halftime, like he probably does score a lot.
I mean, this is where we have to separate performance from playing time, I guess.
Right, yeah.
We can say that we don't like Jordan McCrae. It's not because we think that he's a bad fantasy option. It's that we think that he's not going to play enough.
Right, exactly.
If we knew that Jordan McCrae is going to play 26 minutes today, he's a really good value play on DK.
Right, you just shouldn't be playing like anyone else from this game.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. I hate when guys act like expert NBA guys when you just go by your computer. Nah, it makes me happy.
Wait. So that's because we don't like Jordan McCrae, the guy who cannot stay on a single NBA team?
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, okay.
The Dallas Mavericks hosting the Charlotte Hornets. The future home of Marc Gasol, quite possibly. 110.5 implied total for the Mavs. 106 for the Hornets. I don't even know if we should talk about this game. I don't necessarily know if Tim Hardaway is playing. I don't know if Trey Burke is playing. I don't know if Courtney Lee is officially playing. I don't know who's going to be on the Hornets by 8:30 tonight, because it might not be Bismack Biyombo or maybe Nick Batum or MKG. We'll start on the Dallas side with the things that we know. Luka Doncic is 9,700 on FanDuel, 9,500 on DraftKings, $47 on Yahoo. How you feeling about Luka here?
I love Luka. Like, assuming Tim Hardaway plays, which I think he's supposed to, but again, that could change. You know, it's one more offensive-minded player on the floor for Dallas, but you know, it's still Luka's team. He's still been absolutely phenomenal overall this season, especially of late. And then we take Dennis Smith Jr. off, you get the assist percentage jumping up to like 35, 36%. I don't think that Luka is overpriced just because his price tag came up. I think that when he was 8,300 last game, it was one of the dumbest prices we've seen all season long. So that being elevated doesn't make it so that, you know, his price caught up. He's a legit superstar. It's his. I still really like Luka.
As do I. Got two puppies going crazy next to me. It'd be good. Craziness. I have Hardaway in and I have Courtney Lee in. I do not have Trey Burke in, mostly because I don't get the sense that they would want to play Trey Burke.
Yeah, no, it's the same for me.
Okay. How many minutes do you have Hardaway playing?
Like 32.
Really? Okay. See, I only got to 25, so we might have to have a walkthrough of minutes here.
I mean, I didn't map it out yet. I just kind of threw it in there. Like, I think they'll do this.
I tried to, and then I got to a point where I was up in the air on a couple of guys. Luka and Barnes and Powell and Maxey. Like, I think all of that is pretty easy. What do you think of Powell and Maxey here? They're pretty cheap on DK, 45 and 43 respectively.
Yeah. I hate that they don't play Powell more. But
so
I certainly have interest in both of them. They're both productive enough players on a permanent basis. I expect Maxey obviously to play more minutes. When the hell was the last time Dallas played? The second? Yeah, so I mean, in that game you got 24 minutes from Powell. I have trouble projecting him for more than that. Maxey played like 27. Normally I give him around 28 or 30 when he starts. I'll probably go with like 28 minutes for Maxey, 24 for Powell.
You said 24 for Powell?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I have in there. I have 28 for Maxey.
I think that Hardaway takes the broke-off minutes. I think he takes some of the DFS minutes.
I have DFS at 28.
I'll probably come in lower than that.
Okay. What did you give to Courtney Lee?
I'm at like 16 right now.
Yeah, I'm
That's
at 14.
A very unscientific number.
I gave Hardaway 25. I didn't really know who else to give a haircut to.
I'm just basically treating Hardaway like he's Wes Matthews.
It's probably not the worst idea in the world. What do you have Brunson playing?
I had 22 right now. I think that might be a little high.
I had 24.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because he should. Yeah, he should still start it.
It's tricky.
Yeah, and then Luke. So, yeah, probably like 24 makes sense.
Okay. Do you have Dirk playing?
Like 10 minutes.
Yeah, same. So Dorian Finney-Smith seems to be our major differentiation point.
Right. Like, I think Hardaway starts over DFS.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could easily give him 30 and then put Dorian Finney-Smith at 23, and I don't think that's crazy.
Right. Yeah, that's basically like Finney-Smith was playing around 22 minutes before the trade. I'm basically just going to treat it like Tim Hardaway's Wes Matthews, and he's playing in that like 30 to 32 minute range.
Yeah, my question is basically just, do they want to be playing Tim Hardaway 30 minutes?
Right. Yeah. Who knows?
Or do they prefer to play Dorian Finney-Smith that sort of time? But let me bump him up. That gets him to 30. I think that's reasonable. He's got 14% ownership on DraftKings, 4,900. That seems low. I feel like if we think that Tim Hardaway Jr. plays 30 minutes today, that he's a really good play.
I agree.
It's different when he doesn't have to be the sole dude on a shit Knicks team.
Yeah, it's kind of a really nice spot for Hardaway in a couple of ways because for one, you have Luka out there who's the main guy for the opposing defenses to key in on, but also outside of Luka, there's not really any high usage guys on Dallas. So there's no Enes Kanter. There's no Trey. Well, there is a Trey Burke, but assuming Trey Burke doesn't play, it's Jalen Brunson who isn't taking a bunch of shots. So you kind of get less guys that Hardaway has to share the ball with, but also a superstar for him to play alongside that demands attention.
Yeah, I like it. His contract sucks, but I think he's a good piece for Dallas. He's a lot better than people think he is. Well, maybe not a lot better, but he's better than people think he is.
Luka is averaging 50 DraftKings points per 36 minutes since the start of January.
I have him for 47 and 34, so that sounds about right.
I'm for 54 and 34.
Jesus Christ. God, I'm gonna end up playing some fucking Tim Hardaway. Craziness. Go to Charlotte. The potential destination for Marc Gasol, which do whatever you want to do, Jordan.
That whole thing was weird. Like supposedly that fell through now, but then it looked like a sure thing yet, like prior to the Memphis game yesterday.
Yeah, it's really weird. So as of right now, I'm assuming Charlotte has the full allotment of people. Kemba 9,300 on FanDuel, 8,800 on DK, 33 on Yahoo. Had a nice little Kemba game yesterday. Shocked that Zeller was back.
Yeah, I was just looking because obviously Zeller didn't start, but for those in chat who clearly have never opened Popcorn Machine, there's a bar where it tells you, in each quarter like how the player produced.
Yeah.
And so Cody Zeller played the final 4 minutes and 22 seconds of the second quarter. Kemba played the final 5 minutes and 55 seconds. In those, basically overlapping minutes, Kemba scored 18 points.
Shocking.
And in the first quarter, he missed every single shot, and then Zeller comes in and he started scoring.
You like Kemba here today?
Yeah.
I
like him more if Cody Zeller starts.
So do I. Wouldn't shock me if he did here. Dallas, not exactly a team where they could start Biyombo against, if DeAndre Jordan was still there, you can start Biyombo and bring in Zeller off the bench. But he's not. Yeah. It's Dwight Powell. So go to Zeller. Not that Zeller's some little dude or anything,
Maxey.
Maxey rather. So yeah, I'm in for Kemba. And I think what we need to talk about this guy is Nick Batum back.
You been doing shows with EMAC lately?
No, I mean he's been playing a lot better. 0.8 fantasy points per minute over his last 30, 5,200 on FanDuel, 5K on DraftKings. I'm not saying I'm excited about him, but he's finally reached a point where I don't immediately want to throw up on myself if Nick Batum pops up in a lineup.
Yeah,
it's not exciting. I'm not trying to make him sound like he's some sort of play.
Yeah, no, I mean he has been better. I did have a good lineup the other night that I pulled it up and was like, shit, why is Nick Batum in this? And then he actually had a good game. But at 5K, if I get a little bit, that's fine. But I'd rather play Hardaway, assuming that Hardaway starts.
I don't know if this is just a troll comment or not, but I'm reading it because it fits perfectly for today. By the way, this is the I don't remember what he said before, but he was one of the most recent things I've read. By the way, I freaking love this show. Josh is a god. Laffy is a complete pro. Chip is an a-hole. Perfect. Hi, Riggs. Why do you look so sad, buddy?
Can't change your true color.
Yeah, that's fantastic. $3,800 Malik Monk. Anything? $4,300 Cody Zeller. Is there anything here?
Not really. I think do we have a status on Tony Parker? I know he left last night's game early.
I have him out, and I have Graham in.
Yeah, so I mean, normally it doesn't make a big impact, but it does. For one, it helps to solidify count minutes a little bit. For two, it makes it easier to give Monk 22 minutes. Not that really gets you anywhere, but
yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have anything outside of count.
Okay.
And even Kemba isn't a priority for me. It's just that I think he's decent and he's better if Zeller plays.
I love the Tony Parker dynamic here because anytime you're like, oh, Tony Parker rest, you just put a 0 in Tony Parker's column and just give those minutes right to Devontae Graham and just okay, cool, we're done. I don't have to look into this much further.
It's the one thing that's been constant in their rotation this year.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. The Utah Jazz hosting the Phoenix Suns. 117.5 implied total for the Jazz, 103.5 for the Suns. In case anybody cares, Raul Neto should be back today. So if you're looking for backup point guards, Raul Neto is back.
Hurt Mitchell.
Yes. Gobert, 8,900 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DK. Man, I would like that Gobert price a lot more if Nikola Jokic wasn't so cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I did the pod with Dave, and it was just so tough to talk about center because it was I love Jokic, I love Gobert, I love Okafor, I love Fareed, and it's just okay, well,
I'm out of dudes.
This is Yeah, this is gonna be a tough slate to sort out that position. But yeah, obviously a really nice spot for Rudy Gobert going against the Phoenix front court. Um, I've mentioned it a couple of times, and it's worth pointing out. Utah at home against Phoenix, obviously blowout risk. But Quinn Snyder normally, if it's like a non-competitive game that isn't an absolute embarrassment, like if it's like 20 points in the fourth quarter or something, he'll give his starters some extra run in these home games.
Yeah.
If it's like 30 something at the end of the third, he normally doesn't, but there's just a little bit less risk with Utah at home than with some other teams. So at least worth keeping in mind if you were kind of scared by the 15-point spread here. Yeah, love the spot for Gobert though.
FanDuel, Rubio, 17% expected ownership, Ingles, 13. And for reasons that I'm not entirely sure of, so I might need you to help me out here, Derek Favors, 22.
What's his price on FanDuel?
Not the minimum.
He's 48 on DraftKings, and I kind of like it.
It's 56.
That seems high.
It seems right.
Yeah. No, I mean like high for him to have. His ownership seems high.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Not sure what I'm seeing there. Unless somebody's reading the tea leaves and someone's supposed to be out or something. I'm probably going to get away from that Derek Favors chalk on FanDuel. But you really want anything from Utah here? Gobert aside?
Jake Roberts started last game. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. I remember reading the tweet. That's basically it.
Yeah, so I mean, Crowder played 35 minutes. Favors played 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I like Rubio. I still think the price tag on him, like he's 6K on DraftKings, I think is a really, really nice price tag. If I get Joe Ingles, I don't hate it. Like I think I'd rather get Ingles than Nick Batum.
Sure.
Jay Crowder at 4,600, I think is a good play. It's kind of like the Milwaukee spot here. Like they're going to put points on this team. There are going to be good plays from Utah. The difference is that everyone on Utah is really cheap.
Yeah. One thing to point out, keep an eye on this game heading up to lock. It's not a guarantee that Ricky Rubio is on the Jazz. It's not a guarantee that Derek Favors is on the Jazz. So things could be in flux. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, this time of the year is so fun for DFS.
Yeah. And especially for these guys who have been in, trade discussions for a while. Rubio potentially going to the Grizzlies, Derek Favors, I don't know, to the Pels or anybody as an expiring deal. It's interesting to think about how much differently a team using two big men at the 4 and 5 is working for the Jazz and for the Nuggets.
Yeah, well, when one of them is Derek Favors and the other one is Mason Plumlee.
How do you mean that?
I mean that Plumlee is a lot more valuable than Derek Favors.
It's hard for me to disagree now after seeing what we saw. If you asked me who was more valuable, Derek Favors or Mason Plumlee before we started this show, I would have assumed that I answered Derek Favors, and it wouldn't have been very close for me.
Yeah, no, I mean I love Plumlee.
It's weird that I don't, considering I was like a very, very aggressive Duke fan at the time that he was at Duke. So, I don't know.
I was not.
Weird. Paul Banks showing up an hour late, coming in with the Philly just won the East.
That's actually a lot less annoying than I thought you were going to say something about McCrae.
No. Although people are still going to McCrae, but it's just funny. Oh, Utah, man, I don't get it. I don't get the Favors ownership. Riggs, enough, man. I'm working, buddy. I'm gonna kick your ass out of here.
Yeah, it's really weird since he played 16 minutes last game. It's not even like there's some like recency bias or something.
Or like that we know someone's out.
Right.
I don't know. Phoenix, 8,400 for Booker on both sites. 0 ownership. You like questionable? Okay, he
left last game with a hamstring injury.
That makes sense.
Again.
And he doesn't have a flag on Roto World.
He said he's fine. He initially, I saw a report that he wasn't on the injury report. Then he was questionable. He said he's fine.
Okay.
He also sat the last 6 minutes. I mean, solely as a 1% owned tournament guy. Like
I hope he
anytime you
keeps that questionable tag all day.
right, anytime you get Devin Booker at low ownership, I mean, the guy can go out there and score 60 against anyone.
Yeah.
It's not like if we were 100% sure he's going to play, he still wouldn't grade out as the best, point per dollar option at the position. Like there's a ton of guys around him. Like I think Russell is in a vacuum, better. I think, Drew, Doncic obviously is a little bit more expensive, but you have all these guys that grade out as better plays. It's just that, if Booker is going to be like 1 or 2% owned because of the Q tag and because of the difficult matchup, do I think that there's a 1 in 10 chance that Booker outscores those guys? Like, no question.
Yep. Same page. DeAndre Ayton, 7,400 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings, 20% expected ownership on DK. Playing big minutes. This feels like a pretty rough spot, although that price tag is very appealing.
Yeah, I really like the price tag. Minutes have obviously been there. We've seen earlier this year that he even was getting minutes down the stretch of blowouts. So not necessarily saying that's going to happen, but it's something that at least could. So yeah, I mean, I like Ayton quite a bit. 6,500, I think, is too cheap. He's averaged about 1.1 DraftKings points per minute alongside Booker without TJ Warren this year. If Booker is out as well, obviously you just get more offensive opportunities for Ayton. It makes it more likely that they get their asses kicked, but 6,500, I think, is a really nice price tag.
Yeah, I agree. I probably won't go to 20% of him. Seems a bit high. Oubre, Jackson, Bridges. This trio is getting 30-something minutes every single game. Do you have a preference between the three? Because the public does.
I think it's really close between Jackson and Oubre.
Okay. One of those guys is at 21% on DK. The other is at 11. One of them is at 19% on FanDuel. The other is at 6.
I'd be pretty comfortable, and I don't even know which one you're talking about, but I would flip the ownership.
Oubre is the lesser owned guy on both sites.
Yeah, figured.
So your Wizards homer coming out on that one?
I mean, they both average like the same thing, points per minute wise. They play similar minutes. Oubre doesn't have to deal with Devin Booker as much.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. 1,000% on this one.
Yeah, so since the start of January, Josh Jackson has played 489 minutes. Kelly Oubre has played 480. Josh Jackson, 0.97 DraftKings points per minute. Kelly Oubre, 1.01 DraftKings points per minute. You can probably project like 2 more minutes for Josh Jackson. So you have like identical players.
Yeah. Look, we are on the very much same page. Josh Jackson is 21% owned, and Kelly Oubre is projected for 11 when we get to 6 o'clock tonight or 6:30. You can rest assured that I'm not going to be looking at this the same way. And then Bridges is at 3% on FanDuel and 4% on DraftKings. I don't really like him, but that's another place to offload a little bit of Josh Jackson.
Yeah, I just don't put Bridges in the same category as those two. Yep. He just doesn't have the offensive game that they do.
Oh, I totally agree. Anybody else here?
I'm trying to get up the numbers for without Booker or Warren, because I know you get a boost for Josh Jackson. You also run the risk of him being really inefficient, but without Booker or Warren on the floor, still 0.96 points per minute for Jackson. His usage rate jumps to 29%, but he has a 42% true effective field goal percentage, because he can't shoot and he's now the offense. DeAndre Ayton, 1.14 DraftKings points per minute without either of those guys on the floor. Kelly Oubre, 1.15, because he's actually capable of kind of creating his own offense.
Yeah, keep a close eye on that. I'm having a hard time justifying a lot of Phoenix. It would be Oubre for me as my favorite piece.
Ayton's my favorite. Then Booker and Oubre are close.
All right, 2 games left. Slowly close this out. The Sacramento Kings hosting the Houston Rockets. 115.25 implied total for the Kings. 117.75 for the Rockets. By all accounts, everybody's healthy here. that could be healthy. So we'll start on the Sacramento side. Weird rotations over the past couple days. De'Aaron Fox, 8K on FanDuel, 7,200 on DraftKings, $29 on Yahoo. I have no problem having some De'Aaron Fox here.
No, me neither. There's obviously a lot of guards on the slate, but the minutes have been there, up into the low to mid 30s for him, and 7,200 on DraftKings against a not particularly good Houston defense, I think is pretty nice.
Similarly, I'm okay with having a little bit of Buddy Hield. The guy that I think is most interesting, and the public is also joining me on this journey, so maybe I'm not as excited. Although on FanDuel, I think I am for sure. Willie Cauley-Stein is 5,900 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DraftKings. 28 plus minutes in 4 of the last 5. Some into the 30s. How do you want to manage Willie Cauley-Stein here, particularly if he's chalky?
I mean, I really like the price tag because Houston has been one of the worst rebounding teams in the league since Clint Capella's injury. Cauley-Stein, obviously, he contributes across the board, but he's at his best when you can get offensive putbacks from him and you can get increased rebounds, and that should be the case here against Houston. The minutes are, on one hand, they're obviously concerning because it's not like we're seeing him go out there and play 34 minutes. Harry Giles needs to get his minutes. We're seeing Bagley get some time at the 5, at least in some games. So the minutes upside isn't really there. But on the other hand, we've at least kind of seen a floor so far on his minutes, whereas Bielitsa is just being kicked to the curb. They're still giving Cauley-Stein 28 to 30 minutes a night. And even if I project him for 28 minutes in the spot, I get him as a pretty good play at his price tag. If, you factor in that there is at least room for him to play 30 minutes potentially, I think he's still a pretty good play.
I agree. Speaking of our boy Bags, 6,800 on FanDuel, 5,800 on DraftKings, 27% expected ownership on DK. Bagley is the 4th most owned guy on DK, also getting 22% on FanDuel. I'm not super fond of that, but particularly on DraftKings. I think that I would prefer Willie Cauley-Stein over Bagley, but I love that he's playing well.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't really know what to do with him because I love the spot. I love that he's playing minutes now, consistently getting 28 to 30, sometimes at the 5, but if not, just at the expense of Bielitsa. It's just that when you get these mid-range guys, I absolutely think Bagley's underpriced, but when you get these mid-range guys, there's normally so many pivots around them that if one guy is just becoming the absolute chalk, and you just go overweight on 8 other guys, you have a pretty good chance of beating the field, amongst those guys. So it gets really tough. The example would be Jaylen Brown yesterday. Yeah. He was very clearly a top point per dollar play, but at $5,000, there were a ton of other guys within a couple $100 either direction. And if you just basically took the risk that Jaylen Brown didn't outproduce that entire group and you went overweight on everyone other than Jaylen Brown, you put yourself in a good situation, and you can kind of do that with Bagley here. As much as I love Bagley, if he's going to a ton of ownership, which I expect that he does, there's a lot of guys around him that you can pivot to.
Completely agree. Bogdan, Bielitsa, Shump, anything here for you? You give these takes while I let my dogs out of my office.
All right. Yeah, definitely not Bielitsa. The minutes just kind of non-existent now with Bagley coming back. But Bogdanovic's price tag is down to 5,200. Minutes have really been all over the place, and that's scary. But there is at least upside for him to get 26 to 28 minutes. I prefer Bagley, obviously. I prefer Cauley-Stein. And just to put Cauley-Stein, Bagley into context, right now on DraftKings, I have Bagley projected for 34 points. I have Cauley-Stein projected for 30.5, both playing 28 minutes. Obviously, Bagley is the better projected player. It's just that when you factor in volatility and ownership, I could see preferring Cauley-Stein, outside of the fact, I guess, that he's a center.
Okay. My dogs are going to be so pissed. I just did them dirty. They got really excited thinking they were going outside, and all they did was just get a fucking office door shut in their face. Let's go to Houston. $14,000 for James Harden today on FanDuel, who apparently didn't understand that Chris Paul is now back. 12-6 on DraftKings. I'm okay getting to him on DK because of the pace of this game. 14,000 on FanDuel is insanity.
I like him on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you expect him to play like half of his minutes with Chris Paul and you look at his numbers with and without Paul on the floor this year, you still get a projection of around like a 41% usage rate for Harden, still playing 38 plus minutes. So I think on DraftKings, especially because there's going to be a shit ton of value from this last game that we talk about.
Yep.
It's a good spot for him. 14 on FanDuel where he's less valuable anyway, because for one, you can only roster 2 shooting guards, and it's a pretty strong position today. And for 2, you don't get the bonuses for the 3-pointers or the double-double or triple-double, and you lose a point for every time he turns the ball over. He's already less valuable in FanDuel or than DraftKings, and 14K is just really unnecessary.
Yeah, that's a crazy price tag. I don't understand what they're doing there. Chris Paul, 7,600 on FanDuel, 7,100 on DraftKings, 8 and 6% ownership across those 2 sites. I'm much like I did in the previous game. I'm gonna have a lot of Chris Paul.
Yeah, I think I will too at 7,100. I mean, he did exactly what we expected against Phoenix. Put up 38 points. What we didn't expect, or at least I didn't, he played 33 minutes. I only had him at 30.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a really good sign. And if you give him 33 minutes again tonight, you get a projection up around 40 fantasy points, and at 7,100, that's a pretty solid projection.
I have him in for 31 right now, and that's more of a function of trying to be safe with his minute projection and realizing that 31 got him to come up a ton.
Right, exactly.
So I'm good there. Fareed, 8K on FanDuel, 7K on DraftKings. I think that's all perfectly fine. I don't expect him to kill you. It's really hard for him to get a monster number here, but I don't have much of a problem having him. I just think that there are better options, i.e. Willie Cauley-Stein.
Yeah, I think we're in similar spots. Like, I haven't been getting a lot of free lately, and it hasn't really made me happy. But I think you get around 34 minutes. I think that it's a perfectly fine spot for him.
Yeah.
He grades out for me. I'd rather play Fareed than Cauley-Stein. He grades out a little bit better for me.
Ooh, interesting. I would absolutely rather have Willie Cauley-Stein.
I mean, I have Fareed at 6 more minutes.
I have it at 3. How many minutes
How
are you
many
giving Fareed? 35?
34.
Okay, I have him at 32. I could easily give him a couple more minutes here. Oh, shit. I have 241 minutes projected to Houston right now. Didn't catch that one.
Yeah.
Although, if we're being technical, that's probably the right amount of minutes to project to a team.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Wait, you said 200? Did you do 41 or 231?
241.
So you're like 1 over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, like I said, probably right.
I mean, I do that fairly regularly.
We'll go to 241.
I mean, go over 240.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Because of, like the Heat were probably a team where you could project to like 246.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you want anything else from Houston? Because I assume the answer is no.
The answer is no. Eric Gordon's 4,800. I don't want to roster him, but I don't hate it.
I'm good. But no ownership. It's the only appeal. If he garners any sort of love, today doesn't feel like the day that you need $4,800 Eric Gordon. So maybe today is the day that he goes crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
Alrighty, we got a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this.
No, mostly because at least for the second half of this one, I don't know what to say. 121.75 implied total for the Golden State Warriors, 110.75 for the Spurs. The fact that it's 11 only is kind of bonkers.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, what are the chances Golden State sits like 2 guys?
They should. Okay, so for the Spurs, we have no Derek White, no DeMar DeRozan, no LaMarcus Aldridge. For Golden State, we should have some of those dudes at this point, but Durant, Curry, Cousins, Dre, Clay, Are you prioritizing anyone from this team? Kevin Durant right now is projected for 3% ownership on DraftKings.
Curry, I like Curry more than I like Durant.
So do I.
And I like Luka more than I like Durant at the position and price point. So I'm not prioritizing Durant.
Would you
Probably not
prioritize him if you knew that he was 3% owned?
No, I don't really roster him that much.
Okay, just checking.
I just think